Hi, my name is Dave Zelinka, and I'm going to talk to you about Because of Winn-Dixie. It's a book written by Kate DiCamillo. She's the author of other books such as The Tales of Despero, which was made into a movie, and so was Because of Winn-Dixie. She was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and she was raised in Claremont, Florida, which is probably somewhat like the fictitious town of Naomi, Florida, of which this book is written. It's not really about the grocery store chain Winn-Dixie. Winn-Dixie is the name of a young girl's dog whom she found in Winn-Dixie. And I'm going to start by reading the first page of this book. My name is India Opal Bologna, and last summer my daddy, the preacher, sent me to the store for a box of macaroni and cheese, some white rice, and 2 tomatoes, and I came back with a dog. This is what happened. I walked into the produce section of Winn-Dixie grocery store, pick out my 2 tomatoes, and I almost bumped right into the store manager. He was standing there all red-faced, screening him in and waving his arms around. "Who let that dog in here?" he kept shouting. "Who let a dirty dog in here?" So as you can see, the book is written in kind of a vernacular Florida tongue, which is, of course, very fun for me to read because I'm from Florida and a lot of my family are from places like this. The town we can think of as having roads and small town roads with live oaks, with moss in the trees, and you can think of the place as being kind of a depressed town in north of central or central Florida that maybe at one time had their glory days in maybe the early 20th century, but nowadays it's kind of more run down. When we got to the Friendly Corners Trail Park, I told Winn-Dixie that he had to behave right and be quiet because this was an all-adult trailer park. The only reason I got to live in it was because the preacher was a preacher, and I was a good and quiet kid. She calls her dad the preacher. I was what Friendly Corners Trail Park manager Mr. Alfred called an exception. And I told Winn-Dixie he had to act like an exception too. Of course, Winn-Dixie's the dog, as you know. Specifically, I told him not to pick any fights with Mr. Alfred's cats or Mrs. Detwiller's little yappy Yorkie dog, Samuel. Winn-Dixie looked up at me while I was telling him everything, and I swear he could understand. Now, you have to realize, Opal, this book really is all about making friends, as Opal at this point has moved to this town, Naomi, from another town called Watley. And she has made no friends, and so her dog is her friend right now. And her dog, Winn-Dixie, she gives it character traits such as likes to smile to people and things like that. So Opal brings back the dog, Winn-Dixie, to the trailer park, and here's what the preacher has to say. "Well," said the preacher, "he's a stray if I've ever seen one." He put down his pencil and scratched Winn-Dixie behind the ears. And a less fortunate, too. Of course, her dad's a preacher, and she talks about how her dad looks out for the less fortunate. "He's a less fortunate, that's for sure. Are you looking for a home?" the preacher said. He asked real soft to Winn-Dixie. Winn-Dixie wagged his tail. "Well," the preacher says, "I guess you found one." One thing we like to do is to have students fill out a sequence of events chart for each of the chapters. And each chapter is fairly short, so this is pretty easy for them to do. Here's what one student wrote. "Opal found out that Winn-Dixie does not like to be alone, and you have to take him with you everywhere. Opal took Winn-Dixie inside a church, and he caught a mouse." So the rest of this sequence of events chart talked about how the church prayed for the mouse, and Winn-Dixie grinned from ear to ear. After the prayer, the preacher threw the mouse out of the church. And then at the bottom of the sequence of events, we have them fill out a summary. So Opal asks about her mama, Daddy tells her 10 things about her mommy, Winn-Dixie goes to church and catches a mouse. Now, the other thing we like to do for each of the chapters is to have students fill out a vocabulary graphic organizer. And in the case here, we have them filling out for the word congregation. And in each corner of these is a different section. For instance, at the top, they will define the word congregation. They will have a synonym. They will have a sentence, and then they'll have an illustration. Here's how the book talks about that event. Winn-Dixie took the mouse over to the preacher and dropped it at his feet. When the mouse tried to get away, Winn-Dixie put his paw right on that mouse's tail. Then he smiled up at the preacher. He showed all his teeth. The preacher looked down at the mouse. He looked at Winn-Dixie. He looked at me. He rubbed his nose. He got real quiet in the Picket Quick. Now, the Picket Quick is the old convenience store that had been converted over into the church, the Open Arms Baptist Church. So later on in the book, Opal has to find a job because she needs to pay for a collar and for a few other things for Winn-Dixie. So one thing I like to have students do is I like to have the students write a letter to one of the characters in the book. So this student wrote this letter to Otis. Otis is the store manager who is kind of a strange character who's very lonely. Dear Otis, I like your music. Why don't you get a dog for Sweetie Pie Thomas? Sweetie Pie Thomas is another character who really wants a dog, just like Winn-Dixie. She's younger, of course, than Opal. Opal should be the next owner of the store because she is good at cleaning the floor and straightening the shelves. I like pigs. Do you? I live in Port Angeles, Washington, but my grandma lives in Florida, so I've been there a lot. Your friend, Henry. Writing to the characters is another way to make connections and to build comprehension of the book as they read along. Another thing this book has is a touch of magical realism. It's a very realistic book, but there are things that happen in the story that are just a little bit beyond reality. And here's one example. Me and Winn-Dixie got to Gertrude Pets, this is where she works, so early for my first day of work that the close sign was still in the window. But when I pushed on the door, it swung open, and so we went inside. I was all about to call out to Otis that we were there, but then I heard music. It was the prettiest music I'd ever heard in my life. I looked around to see where it was coming from, and that's when I noticed all the animals were out of their cages. There were rabbits and hamsters and gerbils and mice and birds and lizards and snakes, and they were all just sitting there on the floor like they had turned to stone. And Otis was sitting in the middle of them. He was playing the guitar, and he had his skinny pointed cowboy boots on, and he was tapping them while he was playing the music. His eyes were closed, and he was smiling. Winn-Dixie got a dreamy kind of look on his face. He smiled real hard at Otis, and then he sneezed, and then all his whiskers went fuzzies, and he sighed and kind of dropped to the floor with all the other animals. Just then Gertrude, the parrot, caught sight of Winn-Dixie. "Dog!" she croaked, and flew over and landed on his head. And of course this broke the spell with all the animals, and chaos ensued, and they had to collect all the animals. Another thing that's good to do with this book is to ask questions of the students and have them write responses. So there was this lady named Gloria Dump, and she had had problems in her past, but she was older and she really liked Opal and liked chatting with her. Her eyes weren't good, but she could still listen to stories, and of course we learned that Opal likes to talk a lot and has a lot of stories. So she had gone over there and both read books to this lady Gloria, but she'd also learned a little bit about Gloria. She had learned that she had some problems in the past, and Opal had run into some problems with a lot of the people she was meeting in this small town. So here's the dialogue that went through between Gloria and Opal. I looked at the bottles and the trees. "Did you do that many things wrong?" I asked Gloria. "Mm-hmm," said Gloria, "more than that." "But you're the nicest person I know," I told her. "Don't mean I haven't done bad things," she said. "There's whiskey bottles on there," I told her, "and beer bottles." "Child," said Gloria Dump, "I know that. I'm the one who put them there. I'm the one who drank what was in them." "My mama drank," I whispered. Now, you might have gathered by now that her mama isn't in the picture because she left the preacher quite a while back. "I know it," Gloria Dump said. The preacher says that sometimes my mama couldn't stop drinking. Mm-hmm, said Gloria again. That's the way it is for some folks. We get started and we can't stop. Are you one of those people? Yes, ma'am, I am. But these days I don't drink nothing stronger than coffee. Did the whiskey and beer and wine, did they make you do bad things? And those are the ghosts in this tree now? Some of them, said Gloria Dump. Some of them I would have done anyway, with alcohol or without it, before I learned. Learned what? Learned what the most important thing? What's that? I asked her. It's different for everyone, she said. You find out on your own. But in the meantime, you got to remember, you can't always judge people by the things they've done. You got to judge them by what they're doing now. So that last little quote is a great question for students to respond to. Why she thinks Gloria said that. Another thing you can do is have a number of mini readers theaters. This one has 4 parts: Opal, Preacher, Winn-Dixie, and the narrator. It goes like this. And he wasn't but 2 or 3 words into his sermon when there was a terrible howl coming from outside. The preacher tried to ignore it. Today, he said. Howroo, said Winn-Dixie. Please, said the preacher. Howroo, said Winn-Dixie back. Friend, said the preacher. Howroo, wailed Winn-Dixie. Everyone turned in their lawn chairs and fold-up chairs and looked at one and each other. Opal, said the preacher. Howroo, said Winn-Dixie. Yes, sir, I said. Go get that dog, he yelled. Yes, sir, I yelled back. In conclusion, I'll leave you with a quote from chapter 20. This is where Gloria Dump's talking to Opal about a little bit about grief. But it just gives you an idea that this book really does touch on a lot of topics when it comes to loneliness, forgiveness, and friendship. When I told Gloria Dump about Otis and how he had got arrested, she laughed so hard she had to hold her false teeth so they wouldn't fall out of her mouth. Woo-wee, she said, and when she finally done laughing, she said, that sure is some dangerous criminal. He's a lonely man, I told her. He just wanted to play some music for somebody. Gloria wiped her eyes with the hem of her dress. I know it's sugar, she said, but sometimes things are so sad they get to be funny. You know what else I said? It's still thinking about sad things. That girl I told you about, the pinch-faced one, Amanda, well, her brother drowned last year when he was only 5 years old, the same age as Sweetie Pie Thomas. Gloria stopped smiling. She nodded her head. I remember hearing about that, she said. I remember hearing about that little drowned boy. That's why Amanda's so pinch-faced, I said. She misses her brother. Most likely, Gloria agreed. Do you think everybody misses somebody like I miss my mama? Mm-hmm, said Gloria. She closed her eyes. I believe sometimes that the whole world has an aching heart.